All right. All right. So I will be giving you your the DMOX, the books, and Azure passes in a little while, right? Till then, let's start. Okay, guys. Now I don't know how many of you are already working on Azure or any other cloud platform, maybe AWS or Google platform, or maybe already working on Azure. Right? So let's start with a brief introduction of cloud and the services offered by cloud. If you have any inputs, so you're most welcome. Okay. So we'll start with a simple cloud, and this is not. So guys, what is cloud? Right? So cloud is you can say something providing us with some services, right? Services, or I should say IT services, right? Now, these services can be provided by a third party, right? Someone else, or maybe by my own organization, right? Now, why did I say that maybe by my own organization or maybe by a third? Because this tells us that there can be different types of cloud, right? Or you can say there can be different cloud models which we have. So it could be a public cloud, or it also could be public cloud. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry, I cannot type here. What happened? Okay. So cloud providing some IT services, right? Maybe by my own organization or by a third party or any other organization, and providing the services through a web portal or maybe internet, you can say that. Now, then we have cloud models. Now in cloud models, I have a public cloud. I can also have private cloud, and we can also have a hybrid. Now, when I say a public cloud, cloud will go with my the second definition here, where I say that public cloud, where the services are provided by another organization, right? And the access of resources or services is done via the web portal, right? Web portal or internet. So we access the services and we pay them as per whatever we use. Right? That is your a public cloud. Then we have a private cloud. Now, private cloud can be owned by my own organization, right? Something I deployed for my own employees, right? For their self-service. So I can use private. Now again, although private cloud can also be given access through a web portal, right? Users can be given a link so that they can access the portal and they can configure or create whatever resources they want. And then we have a private hybrid cloud. Now hybrid means private plus public. Now here, in case of public cloud, the best example we have Azure, we have AWS, that's your Amazon Web Services. We also have Google Cloud Platform coming up, right? Apart from these three, we also there are some more uh, smaller, you can say, public clouds coming up like Alibaba and IBM, right? Private cloud, every organization can have their own private cloud, and then we can have a hybrid. So we already have a public or private infrastructure, and we can just integrate our private infra with the public infra, right? Right. Okay. Now, I said that all these cloud models are providing with some kind of services. Right? What kind of services am I talking here? So the services are categorized into three main categories. So let's define them. IaaS, then we have PaaS, and lastly now, maybe each one of you already have heard about these. So we have IaaS, which is infrastructure as a service, right? We have PaaS, which is platform as a service, and then we have SaaS, which is software as a service. When I say infrastructure as a service, what do you think? What kind of services comes under the infrastructure as a service? So maybe services like virtual machines, then their network, and their storage. All these services will come under infrastructure as a service. So a cloud where they provide us services to create virtual machines, client or server operating systems. They allow us to configure the network of these virtual machines, providing them IP addresses and DNS services, and also adding storage to these servers or the client machines, okay? Virtual hard disks and storage. So when I say infrastructure as a service, I will have access of the operating system. So it is my responsibility to update or patch that operating system. It will be up to me that what services or what software do I want to install in those virtual machines. Right? It is the user or the end user who is creating the machine will have full access to it. Then we have platform as a service. Platform as a service, the best example here I have is a web app, right? In simple terms, I will write maybe a website. And although we can also say database, right? Okay. Now you'll say that I can also deploy a website in a virtual machine. I just need a Windows Server 2016 or 22 operating system. I can install IIS on it, Information Services, and that's it. I can publish the website. Or maybe it could be a Linux server machine, and I install Apache on it, and I can publish a website, right? Yes, I can do that. But that service, if you will have a virtual machine, then it will come under infrastructure as a service, where you will have access to the operating system, where you can or cannot install IIS in case of Windows or Apache in case of Linux, and then publish your website through that server. I am talking here about platform as a service. When I say platform as a service, I do not have access to the operating system. I do not have access to the network or IP address or a virtual hard disk of that virtual machine, which although it is there, but it is there in the background. Microsoft Azure, Microsoft or Azure, they are not giving me the access of that machine on which they are deploying my website. Now, the only advantage here is maybe for a developer, he need not care about the operating system. What he needs to care is only about his application, his code, whatever programming language he is using. It could be .NET or it could be Java or PHP or Ruby, anything. So he just needs to focus on that. He just needs to connect his code to that particular web application or website, and that's it. His web application will be deployed. Now he does not have any more headache of updating or patching the operating system behind it. He just needs to take care of his application. Similarly, we have database. So again, there is no server to manage. There is no server. You just have to manage your database and your tables inside that database. Nothing else. There is no virtual machine. There is no SQL server which you will have to manage. And then finally, we have SaaS, software as a service. Now if you observe here, your headache will be reduced further, or your admin work will be reduced further. Because again, there is no server or a virtual machine, and now there is also not a application or a software which you will have to install and manage. So the best example here I can say is Office 365 or services in Office 365, like we have Exchange Online, or we have SharePoint Online, or the services which we use like Word Online and Excel Sheets or Google Sheets, which we call, right? What are those services? Those are all software as a service. Right now here, if you observe, I am not even configuring the Exchange server. I do not even have to manage the application which I'm deploying. Whatever updating and patching of application is to be done will be done by Microsoft in the background. I will not have to do it. Right? What I'll have to do is just go to the Exchange Online portal and manage the mailboxes of my users, which again will be created automatically provided I have given them license. So that's it. That's your three major categories of the services, right? It is possible you might have come around some more services like database as a service or storage as a service or firewall as a service, right? There are many small, you can say, subcategories which they have created. These are the three major ones. Also, we have something called IDaaS. So this is identity as a service. And we also have DRaaS, AS, which is disaster recovery as a service. So if I talk about Azure specifically, we have Azure Active Directory, right? So whenever you log on to Azure, it is Azure Active Directory who is authenticating you, right? Who is authorizing you and keeping the account who logged on and who didn't. And secondly, your disaster recovery as a service. So Azure provides us services of creating a disaster recovery site in Azure. There is a specific service for that in Azure, which we will talk about in one of the modules. Okay. So I think that was for introduction. So if you have any questions, you're most welcome to ask me.
So these notes, what you are creating is also recorded, right? So we don't need to create any note by ourselves.
Yeah, there is no need. I will forward you these notes.
Okay,
Not a
okay.
problem.
Thanks.
Okay. So that was for a brief introduction. Now we will talk about the first module. So first is Azure administration. So first of all, when you have to access the Azure portal, the URL will be portal.azure.com. That's a URL using which you will log in and access your services or resources. Right. Um, right. So to create any kind of services, we can either use the portal, right, or on the internet, maybe using your laptops here. Uh, Also, Microsoft has a Azure app, right? This is a mobile application. There's a mobile application which you can use. I think the name there is Microsoft Azure app. Right? So you can use the application also to monitor your resources, right? And apart from these, we will talk more about PowerShell and CLI and Cloud Shell. So first of all, we will be basically discussing these are different options available to us using which we can manage the portal and the resources. So that's your first module, Azure Portal, Cloud Shell, PowerShell and CLI. Then we will be seeing what is Azure Resource Manager and ARM templates. Right? All right. Okay. Before that, uh, what time would you want to take your lunch break? Just let me know for next 4 days.
12:30 to 1:30.
12:30 to 1:30. All right. So before 12:30, will you need any small break? Just one.
Yeah, any
Everyone.
10-15 minute break would be fine.
Okay. So at what time? If you want to have break at 12:30, so like at what time would you like to have
11:30.
the
Yeah.
Yes,
11:30 or
11:30.
10 minutes?
11:30. Yeah. Good.
Okay. So we'll have a 10 minutes break at 11:30 and then we'll have lunch break from 12:30 to 1:30. Right. So I hope everyone is okay with that. All right.
So, Chabi, you are going to share this PPT also with us, right? Or not?
I'll share, sir. Yes.
Okay.
I'll
Thank you.
email you. Yeah. So let's first see the Azure portal, right? Okay. So as I said, we have the URL, that is portal.azure.com. That's what you have to access when you will open your account. Now, this will be the page which will appear to you, either this page or it could be something like this also, where the names of services is written, and if you have any existing resources, you will be able to see them, right? Now, these are not the only resources. If you look on the left hand side, so you will be able to see the favorites section here. All the services which you have favorited will be visible here on the left hand side for faster access, right? This can be useful for faster access and you need not go and search for any service. Apart from these services, you have option of all services here. So click on all services and you will find the categories, like you have compute for virtual machines and virtual machine disks, Kubernetes, availability sets, all the services will be written here. Networking section, you have virtual networks, DNS, gateways, routing tables, right? Likewise, you have all the categories of services, developers, machine learning, security, identity, Azure Active Directory. So you can find these, right, from here, right? And we have dashboard here. So you can use dashboard to pin the services, right? Something which you want to open again and again or see again and again. So you will have a single dashboard as soon as you will log in. If you want, you can create new dashboards and you can pin whatever you want. And how do you want to size it? Everything can be managed. You want to manage resources, you want to manage the size of these. There is no option for this one. Okay, like we have an option to size this. So you can customize it as you want, depending on your requirement, right? Maybe for every resource you can create a dashboard, or maybe for depending on your scenario. Done customizing, and here you have a different dashboard. So you can scroll through the browse through the dashboards from this option. You want to edit the dashboard, so you can simply click on edit and start, drag or drop, or simply click on add. All right, that was a bit of customizing which you can do on this page. If you want to search for any service, so you can either click here. We can close this blade like this using the arrows. You can search any service, any resource which you want to search from here, or if you want to search any service, you also have the search option. And then you have the notifications icon here, the bell icon. Anything which you will create, modify, delete, or update, everything will have a notification here. You have settings option if you want to change the color of the screen, the background, right? What kind of contrast do you want, right? So you can manage your language and region. How do you want the default? This is a portal menu. So do you want it to be here, or do you want it to be just invisible? It will only come up when you click on the hub menu. Okay, so you can manage the layout. How do you want that to become? And we'll talk about a lot more in next few days. And when I have to create any resource, so I can either click on create a resource, or you can also directly go into the service section. For example, if I want to create any resource groups, so I'll directly go to all services and I will have resource group section here. So click on resource groups and this page will open where you can see, you will be able to see the list of all the resource groups which you have. Also, you can find the same on left hand side in resource groups. So let's just open the same page all over again. All right. That was how to navigate on the Azure. Okay. And things will open on this bar, you can say. It's quite easy to navigate. So if you want to go back to all services section, you can simply click here, right? Or again, opening a particular service like this. So you can see that the navigation is getting created. So you can just click back to go to the back menu. All right. That was your Azure portal and how to work on the Azure portal. Okay. Okay. So Azure portal, searching the services, manage resources, creating customized dashboards and favorites, access the Cloud Shell. I'll explain you in next few minutes at what is Cloud Shell. For now, you can see this icon here, just besides the search bar. This is your Cloud Shell, right? And also receive notifications. That was your Azure portal. And we have the mobile application. You can use it to monitor your resources or to run commands using the Cloud Shell, right? Check any kind of metrics, any kind of information, fixing issues and running commands. Right, I'm sure you all have some iPhones or Android phones, right? So in case you want to give it a look, you can go to your Play Stores and download the app. And done with this, then we have Cloud Shell. Okay. So I'll come to Cloud Shell in next 5 minutes. But before that, I'll talk about the other two tools which we have to manage your Azure resources. So we have PowerShell. PowerShell is there, right? I don't know if each one of you is already working on PowerShell or not, but PowerShell is one of the command line tools, right, in Windows. Yeah, just to manage your Windows operating system. Now, in PowerShell, if I want to use PowerShell to manage Azure, so what do I need extra, or do my machine already have the required requirements, right? Prerequisites. Now, PowerShell works on modules, right? Now, what are modules? Modules are some DLL files, or you can say libraries, which tells PowerShell how to execute certain command, or I will say commandlet. That is what we call in Azure. We do not say commands, we say commandlets. A command. So if you want to manage your Azure resources or services using PowerShell, we need to download the Azure module. So you'll have to run a very simple command on PowerShell. Okay, before telling the command, if anyone is there who does not know about PowerShell or have not worked on PowerShell, so PowerShell has a very simple syntax of writing the commandlets. So it goes something like this: verb hyphen noun. Okay. So verb means, verb can be anything like get, set, start, install, or add, or anything like this, right? The verbs, what we want to do, like you want to retrieve something, so we'll use the get command. You want to install something, so we'll use the install command. And then we will have noun, right? Noun like service. So my command becomes get hyphen service when I want to retrieve any service running in PowerShell, right? Or start hyphen VM when I want to start a virtual machine, right? Or let's say install hyphen Windows feature when I want to install any features in Windows operating system, right? So these are your nouns, and again there is a very big list of nouns in your machine. So we can use PowerShell. Now, when you want to work on Azure using PowerShell, so again we need to install a module. So how we'll do that? So the first step for you will be to run the command install hyphen module AZ, where AZ is the name of Azure module, Azure PowerShell module. Right, you'll have to type this much, and this is the name of the module. This is the name of, you can say, the super module. Under this, there will be very sub modules will be there for every feature, every service in Azure. This is I already have the module installed on my local machine, so I'll still try to show you. So you will install it like this: install hyphen module AZ. Now I already have it, so let's say if it updates or okay, there might be some updates, right? So this is asking me that since the module is getting installed from internet, so do you want to install it? It is from an untrusted repository. So if you trust it, you can press yes or Y and allow it to install. Now, for the first time when you will install it, can take a few minutes, 3 to 4 minutes easily. After you are done with the installation, you will also have to type import hyphen mod, sorry. Okay, you can observe here that the module is getting installed. Okay, so I have the notes here also, right? So let me use these ones only. So we were talking about the modules, right? I was talking about this command, install hyphen az, install hyphen module space az. This is a module which you will have to install. If there is anyone who is already working on Azure and was working from a long time, so they might also know that there was a old module earlier, which we used to call it Azure RM, right? But they're deprecating it now, so no need of installing it now if you have not done that earlier, right? You'll install this module only, install hyphen module easy, and then we will use the import hyphen module command, import hyphen module space easy. Okay, let's close this and see whether the module is installed. Okay. So now, after the module will be installed, we'll have to observe that when you log on to the portal, right, you also have to log in. Right? You need to provide your username and password when you want to access the portal. Similarly, when you will be using PowerShell, in PowerShell also we need to log in. So as soon as you will open your PowerShell, you will download the modules. You will have to type this command, login hyphen az account. Right? So when you will type this, they will ask you for the username and password of your Azure account, and you will be asked to, okay, see, it is done. And we will type again the command import hyphen module az, and this should not take a long time. Now, when you want to see whether you have the commands or not, or whether Azure module is installed or not, so you can run this command, get hyphen command, and type the name of the module. Now, I told you that this AZ is the name of a super module. There are many sub modules under this. For example, you will have a module called az.compute, only for the compute commands for virtual machines or images or of hard disks, right? Similarly, you might have a different module. You'll have it for networking. You might have az.network or az.networking. So let's just see here. I have imported. Now get hyphen command. See, you will not get anything if you will run AZ. Okay, you will get only this. Or nothing, right? You will not get anything if you will find type AZ. So you will have to type AZ dot compute. So this will list all the commands which are there or commandlets for the compute module. And then you might have related to network, right? It's just like this. We want to see all the other, then let's do one thing, type az dot and star. So it will give me everything, all the modules. For example, you have az.logic app, .healthcare APIs, .hd insight, front door, event grid. Right? You can observe there are plenty of modules, sub-modules for all the Azure services. So everything, almost everything can be done using PowerShell also. And then the next step is to run login-az account. Okay. Now we press enter and we type our username and password.
Chavi,
Right?
these just one question. These commands, like these are standard across every like module. Like you would say these are like help commands. So you need to, like, if you want to get to the specific module, you type that specific command.
Okay. If you are talking about the help thing, so we have a different option for that. You type get-help. Okay. Now, what do you want to search? You want to search a commandlet for virtual machine or a network or a virtual network. So what we will do, get-help and then type, let's say VM. So I want to find help for any, I don't know the command to create a new virtual machine and I don't know even how to start it. So I'll just type VM and okay, this might give me hundreds of commands here, but let's just go with it. So type and see, it will give me a lot of things. So let's do one thing to filter out. I want only those commands relate which are in the az.compute. Okay, so now these are the help commands which you are talking about. Type get-command, type module. I need commands from az.compute and then type star VM. Star means anything in the front and anything in the background, right? Anything before VM, anything after VM. So this will just give me commands which have the VM word. Now these are again a lot. So let's say I want to filter these also. So I'm removing the star in the back and press enter. Right now I've got a very limited set of commands. So now I'm sure here we can understand this, that there is a command called new-azvm. Right? Now this is a command using which we can create a new virtual machine in Azure. Now you know the commandlet, but you don't know how to write the entire command, right? Like this is only a starting point. I said every commandlet will start with verb hyphen noun. Verb hyphen noun. Now this is your verb new and this is your noun azvm. So again get hyphen help and new hyphen AZVM. Type the full commandlet. Now this will give you the syntax of that commandlet. Here is a syntax. How you can write an entire command.
Yes, thank you.
Now, if this is also not enough for you, so Microsoft has provided you with some examples. So what you do, type hyphen examples. So that is one of the switch. We can call it a switch or a parameter. Now it's not a parameter because we don't have to provide any values here. It's a switch and we press enter. Now it will give you one example, not one, actually three examples, that how you can create an entire virtual machine using PowerShell. Right? Now, this help command or these examples are also downloaded from internet, right? It is possible that your local machine does not have the examples for a few commandlets. So what will you do? Instead of using the example switch, I will use the online switch. When I use the online switch, so the PowerShell automatically opens a browser and it will display the command help for that commandlet new hyphen easy VM. Now here you can see the syntax also and you can see the examples also. Right? So this is should be quite for help which you can use, right? So these are the help commands, right? The commands which I typed earlier, like the login command. So that was actually, I was logging to my Azure account, right? Which one was that? So I typed login hyphen AZ account. It asked me my username and password and it gave me the results, my tenant ID, my subscription and my environment. And now I can see get hyphen AZ subscription. What subscriptions do I have in Azure? Right. So I'll talk about subscriptions in detail. For now, in brief, your subscription is your billing boundary. Okay, now I have multiple subscriptions here, right? You can see one and I have two subscriptions. Now at a time, you will be working on a single subscription. Right? At once, when you will type a particular command, that command will belong to a particular subscription. So what you will have to do, you will select, type this command, select hyphen AZ subscription and just type the ID, subscription ID, which you want to work with. Right? And we press enter. And then again, get hyphen, no, sorry. Get hyphen, I want to see the resources inside this particular subscription. So I'll just type the command get hyphen AZ resource, which will give me detail of all the resources I have under this subscription. Okay, and now you can go on. You can use the help command and see what you want to do, how you want to use the help and other options. Right. We'll talk about more about PowerShell specific when we talk about specific features. All right. That was about Azure, PowerShell login hyphen AZ account. Right. Used to login Azure account. Right. Now, after PowerShell, we have another tool that is Azure CLI. Right now, although PowerShell can also be installed for Linux and Mac OS machines, right? But if someone is comfortable with Bash, right, or not working on PowerShell, so they also have option of using the CLI, right? So you can install CLI using a web installer, right? Or you can simply install it on using Google or any web installer. Now again, I already have it on my local machine, so I can run it here also, right? Now, if you have any questions at how am I able to run it here, so I will just like to say that command line or command prompt is the base of PowerShell. Whatever commands you can run on a normal command prompt, I can run them on PowerShell also. So that's why I'm able to run my Azure CLI here. I hope you observed this. This is my Azure CLI. I could have opened a different window also of command prompt and done it there. Okay, so as you can observe, the commands for Azure CLI will always start with AZ, the word. Right? And as I logged in on PowerShell, you have to log in on CLI also, right? And a very simple command, just have to type AZ space login, right? You can see that here. AZ login. You will be able to see these commands here also. You have login and logout commands. So let's come here and AZ login. This might have a bit different way to log in. All it will, yeah, it will open the browser and then you will have to type in the username and password. You have logged into Microsoft Azure. I can close this window and here also I can see. And it has given me both the subscriptions, right? So you can observe just like I got 2 subscriptions in PowerShell also. When I type this command get -easy subscription, I got 2 different subscriptions. Similarly, as soon as I logged in CLI, I have got the same 2 subscription sets. And now you can use it just like we do it on PowerShell. So like I have AZ group. Oh, that's one of the commands. Okay, sorry. Right. So we'll be able to see the commands, the resource groups like this. Now, again, for people working on Linux, I'm sure this will be very easy, right? So just like we use --help, like I want to see help for creating virtual machines again. So here is the option. The word is VM. So we type AZ VM and --help if you want to see how to create a virtual machine. Now this is not enough. Let's say you want to create a virtual machine, right? You have to choose the verb, the command which you have to do. So I want to create a virtual machine. Now it will give you a detailed list of options which we have. Right. These are all the attributes which will have to define, like the operating system disks, the IP addresses of the virtual machine, right? The name of the VM, usernames and password, license, amount of the hardware, the virtual CPUs and RAM which will be provided. Everything will have to be specified using these options. Okay. So you can use either of these. You can go with PowerShell, you can go with CLI. CLI is again multiple platform, right? Will work on Linux, Mac OS, and Windows. You can see it here only. And that's it. These are the options available. Now, okay, would you like to go for a break right now first, or should I just go on? Mm, hi, hello.
Yes, we can take a 10 minutes break now.
10 minutes break? Okay,
Yep.
fine. So we'll be back in 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, fine. So that was a bit of PowerShell and CLI. Now, the third thing which we have is cloud. So now you may not want to download the PowerShell module, or you might not, maybe you have a Linux and Mac OS machine, you might not want to install the extra requirements for PowerShell, right? Or maybe CLI also. So Microsoft has given us Cloud Shell, which is a browser in inbuilt shell, and it can run both PowerShell and CLI commands. Right? The only limitation, it's not actually a limitation, it is a requirement, Cloud Shell, that we need a subscription. So you need to have an account on Azure, need to have a subscription. We need a storage account again in Azure, and a file share. Right? So you cannot work on Cloud Shell until and unless you have these things with you, right? So let's see how to work on Cloud Shell. Okay. So I told you that this small icon just besides the search bar is your Cloud Shell. Let's click on Cloud Shell. And you can observe a small window opening. So Cloud Shell, basically in the background, Microsoft is allocating you a virtual machine on which the commands will be executed. So we will have to choose a subscription here. In the subscription, it asks me to create a storage account, and I don't have any existing storage account. So it will create one for me. Let's click on create storage. Yeah, the recording. I've started the recording. Okay. So only those users will be able to use the storage, the shell, who have a subscription and they have created a storage account in the background. Right? You can see the storage account. I'll show you once I'm able to, once this is completed. And one thing. So when I was working on PowerShell and CLI, I asked you to run the login commands, right? In case of both PowerShell and CLI. But do you think that you need to use, you need to log in on Cloud Shell also? There is no need, right? Because you are accessing the Cloud Shell from within the portal only after you have logged in. So Cloud Shell will not ask you to log in. You do not have to run the login command. You're already logged in. You only need to log in case you want to run the Cloud Shell as a different user, right? Maybe because of the current user, which are you, does not have the required privileges to execute a certain command. In that case, you can use the AZ login command. Otherwise, you don't need that. And you can see I can run the command even without running any login command. Also, now this is Bash, right? Currently, my Cloud Shell started in Bash. It has given me the information about the resources created in Azure. There will be a resource group which you can observe here. I'll explain you what are resource groups, right? Just a few minutes. So the resource group is created. Inside the resource group, we will observe that there is a storage account, and within the storage account, there will be a file share. Right? And you can observe that all the things are same as written here. Right? So you can observe that I can run CLI here, Azure CLI, and also I can run PowerShell. So you just click on this drop down and you can switch from Bash to PowerShell, but you'll have to know this, that you will lose your current data, not data, the current commands which you have run, or the session. Current session will be lost and you will be switched to PowerShell. If you want to open this in a different window, so you have this option to open a new session. It will open the Cloud Shell in a different tab on your browser. And you can take some time. And again, need not log in here or here. Subscription. Whatever you want to run. So you can use both of these as per your requirement for whichever you are comfortable with. So this is per session, right? If you close it, you will lose your session. If you're minimizing it, your session will still be there, but once you close it, so your session will be closed and a new session will be created every time you open it. So I'm hoping this was clear. Okay, let's come back to slides now. Let's see if we have left anything. Cloud Shell, okay, so interactive browser accessible shell offers both Bash or PowerShell. It's temporary, provided on a per session and per user basis. As I said, we close the session, you'll have to open a new session again if you want to use it. Requires a resource group, a storage account, and a file share. Authenticates automatically. It has a graphical text editor. Is assigned one machine per user account. This is what I was trying to explain you earlier when I said that in the background, Microsoft is deploying a virtual machine for you on which the commands are actually getting executed, right? And if you have opened it and not used for 20 minutes, so it will be timed out and you'll have to start a new session again. Okay, and done with Cloud Shell. Then we have PowerShell and CLI. So as I said, PowerShell, we have modules, right? We have a command verb hyphen noun naming convention in PowerShell, which the commandlets are shipped in modules. Modules are some DLL files, which tells us or tells the PowerShell how to execute the commands, right? We load commands by loading the module, and we can run get hyphen modules also to see a list of loaded modules in your PowerShell session. Azure PowerShell, okay, so lets you connect to your Azure subscription and manage resources. I hope we are clear with this, right? I ran 2-3 commands. After login AZ account, I ran get hyphen AZ subscription to list all the subscriptions I had. And then I also ran the command select hyphen AZ subscription. Select a particular, here you'll have to mention the subscription ID so that you can tell tell PowerShell that I want to work on this particular subscription right now. Right. Add Azure specific commands. We have the new AZ module. Available inside browser via the Cloud Shell, available as local installation on all the platforms, as an interactive and scripting mode also. You can create scripts also, right? Like you want to do something again and again, like creating 5 virtual machines every now and then, if there's such a requirement. So you can create a PowerShell script and execute it whenever you want. Right. Done with it. Azure CLI. So again, cross-platform command line program, runs on all the OS, can be used interactively or scripts. Commands are structured in groups and subgroups. You can use the find command also to locate any commands. And we saw hyphen help for any detailed information. Done with it. And finally, we have resource managers. So guys, resource manager is the model on which Azure is currently. Now, resource manager follows a particular hierarchy, right? And there are some terms which we will see now, which you can say these are the features of resource manager. So the first thing which we have in resource manager, it is called resource group. It's a resource group. So resource group is a logical grouping grouping of resources in Azure, right? Now, so it is just a group of resources. It is a management level, right? Used to manage multiple resources at once, like applying access control or identity access management can be done. Applying access control or applying the policies. We will talk about Azure policies later on. Azure policies, right? And monitor deployments in a particular resource. And there are many more things. For example, if I delete a resource group, so the resource, everything under that resource group will also be deleted, right? So if whenever I create anything in Azure, so every resource will always reside in a particular resource group, right? It is not possible to create any resource without putting it in a resource group, right? So I will just show you how to create a resource group now. So let's come on portal. Now you can find it resource groups option on the left hand side, or you can go to all services also and then find it. Let's come from here and we click on add. You'll have to choose a subscription. Now I have not talked about subscriptions yet, right? But I will slowly, I'll come to it. So I'll select a particular subscription here and we will give a name. So let's say I'm giving it a name, AZ-103 RG. And we will have to give it a region. Okay guys, I have not talked about regions yet, right? So Azure has multiple data centers all around the world, right? So regions basically refer to the location of data center of Azure. And we have to choose a region. Whenever you are creating anything in Azure, you will always and always have to choose a location. Even while I'm creating a resource group, although it is just a logical thing, right? It is nothing actually getting created in the background. It's just a logical group. But you'll always have to choose a region. So we'll choose a subscription, resource group and region, and we will click on review plus create and click on create. It does not take very much time. It might just take a minute to come up on in the GUI. You cannot still find it. You can see it is created although, and here you can find it. Right, HCL103 RG, and it is empty right now. Of course, we do not have any resources. Just created the resource group. Right now, you will need to plan a few things before creating a resource group. So you can create a resource group for every new project you have, every new planning or any new issue or project you might have in your organization, or maybe you can create resource groups depending on different departments. You can give a resource group to a specific department and so on. Okay. Similarly, if you want to do the same using CLI or using PowerShell, So we have a very, very simple command for that. Right. So you just have to type a simple command. Of course, it will start with new, right? And new hyphen AZ. This will always remain your, you can say, some constant words. New hyphen AZ. AZ will every time be there. And I want to create a resource group. So you can simply start typing RES and you can start typing tab, right? See, it gave you options that it could be AZ resource or resource group or resource group deployment or resource lock. Now I want to create a resource group. New hyphen AZ resource group. You will give it a name. Name. Let's create HCL103 RG2 and you will have to give it a location. Location, I'll go again with East US and that's it. Press enter. Yes, created the resource group. You can minimize the Cloud Shell and we can observe it here whether it is created or not. It can take a minute to come up in the GUI. We want to see the list of all the resource groups, so we can simply type get hyphen AZ resource. This will give us all the list of resource groups in a particular subscription. Right. You can see I have the resource group created. Right. Come back to it. So, resource manager provides a consistent management layer, enables us to work with the resources in a solution as a group. That is your resource group, right? I'll show you something here. I have a resource group created it earlier. So, like, I have a resource group Linux to RG. There you will observe I have a few resources. Now, these all resources are part of this resource group. Any kind of permission, access control, or any kind of policies, any kind of locks, whichever I will apply on this resource group, will automatically be inherited by all the resources inside the resource group. If I will delete the resource group, every service, every resource here will be deleted automatically. And you cannot recover them. So you can deploy, update, delete in a single coordinated operation. Provide security, auditing, and tagging features again. And you can choose the tools that work best for you. Terminology. So I have been using the word resource again and again now. So what is a resource in Azure? A resource is any instance of a service. See, service is a virtual machine. And currently, this virtual machine is a resource. It is an instance of the virtual machine's service provided to you by Azure. Like a public IP is a service. Public IP service is provided to you by Azure, where you can create multiple or assign multiple public IPs to yourself. But this particular instance of the public IP service is a resource for you, the one which you have created, the one which you are using. So just like these, here I have instances of these particular type of services, and all these things are called resources, right? Resources comes in the last of the hierarchy in the resource manager model, right? I can show you a diagram right now, but it's okay if you will not be, okay, Don't think so. I have that currently here. Okay, I'll show it to you later on. So we have a resource, it's a single service instance in Azure. And then we have a resource group, which is a logical grouping of resources. Now, an Azure Resource Manager template is a JSON file. So whatever you are creating on Azure, whatever kind of service you are creating, it could be a virtual machine, it could be a SQL database, or it could be any machine learning app, anything for that matter, everything will have a template. That template is written in JSON format, right? That's JavaScript object notation file, right? So I'm sure if there are some developers, it will be very easy for you to create templates and deploy your services using the template. Okay, so that is yet another way of deploying the resources, right? You're not using PowerShell, you're not using CLI, you are not using the portal, but you are writing your code in JSON format and you can deploy the resources, as many resources as you want. So this will be a very good option for automation and for creating bulk resources in bulk. So come to the portal, and whenever you will create any resource group, like here you can see I created HCL103 RG2. Now, if on the left hand side you will scroll down, you will observe export template option. Let's click on it. And you will observe here that there is a, although this is very small right now, a JSON file is there. Now this is very small, right? So come here. Come to the Linux 2 RG, which I already have. On the left hand side, again, click on export template. And you will observe JSON file. Now you can simply download this, this what you can say template, a JSON template. And click on download. Every resource in Azure, every resource group in Azure will have this template created automatically. So what you can do, let's say even if you are not a developer, right? Like I'm not a developer, but I can do this, that, okay, just a second. Okay, let's paste and you will find two files here. There's a template file. The template file is describing all the resources which you want to create, like the virtual machine, the virtual network, everything actually. And there's another file, the parameters file. So you can use this file in case you want to use this template again and again. Just change the values, like the name of the virtual machine, the name of the virtual network, the name of the interface, public IP, network security group, resource providers, and virtual networks. So you just have to change the names in the parameters file and deploy this template as it is, as many times as you want, for whichever resource you want to create. And that is your template. That is your resource manager template. Okay. Allowing us to declaratively describe a set of resources. So this is a declarative syntax. I just declare, okay, declarative syntax is what a template uses to state what you intend to create. Basically, I'm just defining the end state of my resource which I want. Just like, unlike in PowerShell or CLI, where I have to specify each and every step to reach to a particular resource, I do not have to do that here in JSON. In JSON, I just specify what I need. I'll say I need a virtual machine with this name and this IP or this virtual network. And then at rest is the Azure who will create it. I don't have to do anything else. Right. And then we have resource provider. Resource provider is a service that supplies resources so you can deploy and manage through resource manager. Now see, in the background, Microsoft is using many, or you can say hundreds of APIs for creating your resources. Every kind of resource, every type of service in Azure has a resource provider in the background, right? Someone where the API is attached, who is allowing you to create that particular kind of service in Azure. Now, it is possible that sometimes you cannot deploy a resource. The error which you get says that the provider is not installed or the provider is not registered. That will be the correct word, registered and unregistered. So how you can register a particular provider if it is not yet registered? So for that, you will have to go to your subscription. So I'll go to all services. In the all services, you can see the subscription section and click on your subscription. In the subscription section, when you will scroll down, you will be able to observe resource provider section. And as you can see here that many of the major services might already be registered, like virtual machines and networks and all. And then there are some which are not yet registered. So if I'll try to create any particular resource of this particular provider, so I'll not be able to create it since the provider is not yet registered. So I'll just have to do a simple thing, click on the service and click on register. And it will take a few minutes for it to register, but then after it is done, then I can use it. Click on register. Okay, it's registering. You can see the status changed from unregistered, not registered to registering. Okay. Okay, it moved somewhere, right? It's registered and not even more than 10 seconds. Okay. So these are resource providers. Right? And all right. Then we have resource groups again. So some things which you'll have to plan before creating a resource group. Resources can only exist in one resource group. It means, so if that particular virtual machine is existing in Linux 2 RG, so it will be here only. It is not possible that the same virtual machine is existing in this resource group also and in any other resource group also. So you cannot have the same resource or the resource with the same name in two different resource groups. Groups cannot be renamed. You cannot rename this resource group. You cannot, there is no option to change the name, this Linux 2 RG to something else. So you need to plan this out before creating the resource group. Groups can have resources of many different types. I think again, this section makes this clear. Linux 2 RG, it have a resource of virtual machine also, public IP also, network security group also, interface disk and virtual network also. And it can contain almost all those resources of another type of service in Azure. Can have resources from many different regions. So it really doesn't matter that if my resource group is created in a particular region, like I created this resource group in East US, it is still possible for me that I can create a resource in the Indian region in this resource group or in any other region also. It might be a restriction for some of the resources, but not all the resources, right? Mostly you can create resource in any other region. even if the resource group exists in East US. And deployments are incremental, right? So you can manage the deployments, you can delete any particular deployment if you want, right? None of the deployment is, you can say is, what do we say, is dependent on another deployment. Finally, by scoping permissions to a resource group, you can add and remove and modify resources easily. So scoping permissions, right? So as I said, the access control thing, or you can see access control here. I can apply permissions on resource group and allow different users to have access to different services. Right? We'll talk about this in a bit more detail later on. Okay. So this is one of the services of your resource manager model, right? It's called resource logs. So this is to prevent accidental deletion or modification of resources, right? There are two types of logs. The first one we have is a delete log, and the second one which we have is a read only log, right? So if I'm applying a delete log means that you cannot delete particular resource or the resource group depending on what level you are applying the log. Even if it is administrator or the owner of the resource, they cannot do it, right? Since it is for accidental deletion, this is not replacing your access control or access management. Read only, you cannot modify or even delete the resource or resource group. Again, depending on what level you are applying the lock, right? So, for example, I'm on this resource group HCL103RG. Let's come to logs and click on add, give it a name. Let's say no delete. Log type, read only and delete. So click on OK. I've applied the lock. Now just try to delete the resource group. And delete. So it will throw you an error. You can see it in the notifications area. Now the resource group is logged and can't be deleted. Click here to manage locks for this resource group. So you either apply the, either remove the lock. Once you will remove the lock, you will be able to delete the resource group. And similarly, you have the another type of lock, which is read only. So you can use it to prevent any kind of modification in the resource group. You can apply it the same way I applied the another one. Okay. And these locks will be inherited. So if I'm applying it on the resource group, the locks will be applied automatically by all the resources inside that the resource group. Okay. You can also apply the lock on the subscription level or resource group or resource inherited by child resources. Read only locks prevent any modification, any changes. Delete locks prevent deletion. Moving resources. Okay, so this can be of useful to you if you have by mistake named your resource, like wrongly named your resource group, right? Or maybe you wanted a particular resource in another resource group, but you have by mistake created it in one different resource group. So what do we have? We have moving resources. You can move resources either to the same subscription. You can move resources either to a different subscription, or within the same subscription, it can be in a different resource group. So here you can observe, I have Linux RG, and from Linux RG, I can move it. Click on move, you have both the options. So I either move it to another resource group in this within the same subscription, or I move it entirely to a different subscription. Right? You will move it to another subscription in case you want to change the billing of that particular service. Right now, these services are getting billed to me on this subscription ID. What if maybe credits in this subscription ID is getting exhausted? So what you can do is you can move them, or I just move it to different resource group. Like let's click on move to another resource group and click on resource group. Let's say I move it to AZ-103 RG2. I understand the tools and scripts associated with move resources will not work until I update them to use the new resource IDs, because the resource IDs are going to change. And now it is possible that some resources might not support the move operation. In that case, this will throw you an error. Also, it is a possibility that the dependent resources will also have to be moved. For example, if I'm moving the virtual machine, I will definitely have to move the virtual network interface with it. Right? It is so, or the operating system hard disk with it, or the public IP with it. Right? It is possible you might get an error if you just try to move the virtual machine without its network interface. Right now, I've started this operation. This will take a few minutes. And so what I have done, I have moved resources from Linux 2 RG to HCL103 RG2. Let's observe if this happens or not. And when you're moving resources, both the source group and the target group are logged during operation. See, moving resources does not have to do anything with the service which is running there. Your service will not be interrupted. Okay. Only the resource group will be locked. Like you will not be able to create any resource or do something on that particular resource group. Right? Your resources are not touched, like the service is still running as it is. Services that cannot be moved. So you might get an error if you try to move these services. AD domain services, express route, or site recovery. So you won't be able to move these services if you will try. Right. Then next, removing resources and resource groups. So it's as easy. You can just go to the resource or resource group. See, like I have an error here. It says, okay, it says I cannot move my virtual network because it's paired with another virtual networks. Okay, let's see this. I will explain you these things once we reach there. Right now, it will be, it's okay if you're not able to get what I'm just deleting something here because of which I was not able to move my resource. Right, so you can see dependency. I've configured something on the virtual network which was stopping me from moving it. Okay, come back and move. Let's try to do it again. To delete the resource groups, you can either directly go and click on the delete option, or you can also use the PowerShell commands. Remove -az resource group if you want to delete the resource group, or AZ resource if you want to delete the resource. Every resource will have a resource ID, which you will be able to see in the properties of that particular resource group. Like so, I'll just open a particular service here. Like I have this world. So in every resource will have this properties option. In the properties option, you will be, and I cannot see it here also. Resource subscription ID. Why is there no resource? Okay. Let's see it for that storage account which we created. Properties. There will be properties section for every resource. And here generally we can see the resource ID of that particular service. Okay. So if you want to delete the service using PowerShell, you can, or CLI, you can use the resource ID also. Or although you can use directly the name of the service also. It does not stop you from deleting it if you don't use a resource ID. And let's see here. Okay, can you see my move operation is succeeded? Earlier it failed because there was a dependency on my virtual network, right? Once I just remove the dependency, so I am able to move it, and it is moving 7 resources from resource groups Linux to RG in subscription to resource group in this subscription. My subscription is same, although in this case it's not different. Okay. So you can perform the move operation, and right, ARM templates. Okay. So you want me to go on, or do you want to go for the lunch break first and then continue? It's almost 30. Hello, anyone?
Yeah, you can just go on.
Go on, right? Okay, I might take 10, 15, 20 minutes then. Okay, we can have a lunch break after that, maybe. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Right. Okay. So we already discussed, right, that there is yeah. Okay, let me just complete this module. It's almost done. So ARM simply means Azure Resource Manager. ARM is Azure Resource Manager, and we have ARM templates. So we already discussed that these templates are just some JSON files which you can use again and again to deploy any kind of resource. Right, we saw how to download the template, and then you can use it to deploy. You can also deploy the template as it is from there only, like click on the resource group, come to export template, and you'll have option to deploy it from here also. Right, you click on deploy, and it will start deploying the same services. Only if you want to choose any custom template or any custom parameters, so you can do that. Or like what I did earlier, I downloaded it, right? You download it, you edit it if you want to make any changes, and then you deploy it. Now, how you can deploy the template? So again, you can either use CLI, you can use PowerShell, or you can also use the portal if you want. If you want to use the portal, in all services section, you will have option of templates. Here you can create your templates if you want to create any custom templates, or wait, template deployment using, okay, this will open the same page which opened earlier. On create, the same page which we saw earlier, right? Okay. Or what we can do is, this template is for not this one. Okay, so I have a few templates here already. Let's see if we can use it or not. Okay, so I have a template here which is creating virtual networks, right? You can observe here virtual networks. Okay, so what we will do, we will deploy this template as a template I downloaded earlier. Now I'll just change a few things. Virtual networks name, I am creating let's say HCL net. Okay, HCL net, and okay, I'll have to replace it everywhere. You can simply use find and replace command also, and it will be created in East US. And you can use what address prefix you want to use in that particular virtual network. So I'll just select one. Let's say 10.9.0.0/16. You want to give any subnets, you can modify this, and then you can type a simple command and create this. Yeah, I'll have to change a lot of things here. I'm sure there's a developer, they can do it quite easily. And also the range, it will create a subnet also, so I'll change the value of the subnet as well. And what else? Subnets, change the value here as well. Okay, that's it. Right, so this is a previous template. Let's just hope this does not throw any error. And the parameters file also to change. I don't need this file. There's nothing defined. Let's come to PowerShell. Let's see. This is not working. Get hyphen AZ subscription. Okay, so just for information here, PowerShell caches your username and password and your subscription details, right? So in case you don't want that, you will have to log out every time you finish working on PowerShell. So you'll have to type the command new hyphen AZ resource group deployment, and the name of my deployment will be deploy1, and resource group name, I'm going to deploy this in HCL103 RG. And I will have to specify the template parameter, template file or template parameter file, template file. Okay, where is my template file? My template file is here. I hope I saved it. Yes, I saved it. And copy this path. Slash template.json, and let's see if this works. Come to the resource group section. Come to this resource group. Okay. Wait. Okay. I don't know why here my move operation is saying failed, because it actually succeeded. If you observe in Linux 2RG, so my Linux 2RG is now empty, and my HCL103 RG2 has all the 6 resources which were there earlier, right? So it has move failed. Okay, it has moved already. Something VNet1 did not finish. Okay, it is done although. Okay, maybe you can ignore it since everything is done. And now come to the template deployment which I'm doing. Now I did it in HCL103 RG. So let's do one thing. Let's come to HCL103 RG, and we will see in the, you will have deployments section here. In the deployment section, you will be able to see whether there is any deployment going on. Now this one is going on. Remember deploy1, that was the name I gave it. And let's refresh this. Sorry. The colors changed. Why? Okay. Okay, I think I clicked somewhere. Anyways. So I hope you can see my HCL net virtual network is almost created. Okay, my deployment succeeded. And here also it should give me the result. Come back to overview, and you can see HCL net, And what was the range we gave? I think 10.9.0.0/16. And we also created a subnet, default 10.9.1.0/24. Okay, so you can use this template again and again, right? Maybe every time you just change the virtual network prefix, or you change the name of the virtual network which you want to create, and that's it. It will be created in not more than a few minutes. How much time did it took? You can see that in the deployment section. It will tell you that it took almost 2 minutes and 37 seconds for this resource to get created, or this deployment to complete. And you can redeploy, view template, whatever you want. You can download the templates from here also, or if you want to delete the deployment. Right. Let's just press enter. Right. Okay. So ARM templates. Basically, advantages of using a template or these PowerShell things are that you can reuse them. Right? You can use them again and again. You need not go to GUI every time and perform all the steps again and again. Click on next, 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 create the object. So just use the template. Change some values. Only some variable parameters needs to be changed. So it will be consistent. You can perform complex deployments. It will reduce manual or error prone tasks, right? You can configure express requirements using code, any customized requirements. Reuse modular. You can link multiple templates if you want. Multiple modules can be linked. And simplifies orchestration, or in simple terms, management. Schema, right? Every template will have a schema section. If you will observe the template here, the first section will be schema, right? Using which it actually starts the deployment. Then define the resource manager resources written in JSON. They're just key value pairs. If you will observe this, so they are just key and value pairs. That's it. That is your whole JSON, key and value. Each key is a string, of course. You can observe here, everything is a string. And values can be either a string or number or boolean, true or false, right? Alphanumeric or array, all kind of data types which we have. So your value is, for example, this value is a date and time kind of data type. This is a normal string. Here it is written also that virtual network name will be a type of a string value. Okay, so I'm sure developers can easily identify these things. Template parameters. The parameters will be values which might be different in every deployment, right? Like the name of the virtual network or the name of the virtual machine. In this case, they have taken example of the username and password for administrator account inside a virtual machine. Like username for the virtual machine and password for the virtual machine. Okay, so you can define parameters. Template variables, again values that are used throughout the template, right? This file does not have a very good parameter file. It was almost empty. Like the one which we downloaded in new folder Linux 2RG, this is not empty. See, so you can define the parameters like virtual machine name, virtual network name, network interface name, public IP object name. You can provide names using the parameter files. And that's it, I guess. Okay, now we might not be developers, right? So might not want to create customized templates. So Microsoft has provided us a lot of quick start templates, right? So you can use the quick start template, or you can use GitHub also. All of those are given on GitHub as well. Do we have the thing? No, we don't. So type Azure quick start templates. It's very easy to use these templates. With every template, you will get an option to deploy it in Azure. Like, let's say, deploy Ubuntu VM with Docker engine. So open this template, and you have an option deploy to Azure. So you just you can see the parameter names which will be used. They have also given the PowerShell and command line commands which you can use to create the same resource, or just click on deploy to Azure. This will automatically open your Azure portal if you're signed in, and ask you to verify, write the parameter file, parameter things, basically the variables which might be different, right? Like the username and password, and that's it. And we simply click on purchase, and that service will be created in next few minutes, right? Okay, so you can use the quick start templates, or you can always browse to GitHub. You'll find again hundreds of templates on Azure, or sorry, on GitHub. Whatever type of templates you need, you have everything. You can use these to deploy your resources. Okay. That's it. That was for your first first module. If you have any questions, I can ask. And yeah. And do you want to go for lunch now, or should I continue?
I think we'll take a break.
Break, the lunch break,
Lunch
right?
break.
Or,
Yeah.
okay, so
Yeah,
we will be,
before that, I got a question for you.
yeah.
So you use the deploy one to create that virtual network, right? So and
Right.
you showed that we can delete that deployment. So if I delete the deployment, will that the virtual network get deleted or no? Right?
Only from here.
That
What do we
the
say? The
record will
row
get
record,
okay.
exactly. The record is removed. That's what I have
Oh,
observed in past also. Yes.
all right. Okay. Just wanted to
Yes.
clarify that. Okay.
Sure. No problem.
Thank you.
Okay. So we will be back in 1 hour.
Yes, 1 hour.
Sure.
Okay. Fine. So 1:45. Fine.
All right. Thank you.